Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today in this video we are going to see the another important topic of research ethics principles. In this video we are going to see different principles which are applicable in conducting a research. These principles are very important to conduct a research in a very ethical manner. So let's start. In this video we are going to see the meaning of research ethics, the meaning and different principles concerning the research ethics. In our earlier video, we have discussed in elaborate manner what is meant by research, the kinds of research, the tools and techniques of data collection, sampling, research ethics, and in this video we are going to see the different principles of research ethics. So let's first we'll understand in brief what is meant by research. Research is defined as a careful consideration of study regarding a particular concern or problem using scientific methods. Dear friends, we all know that research is nothing but a consideration or investigation or a study, and in this study we have to focus upon a particular problem or a particular concern so that we can find out a solution, a practical and workable solution of the problem. And we have to conduct this study or investigation by using scientific methods. Scientific methods means the methods which has been already tested and resulted in a fruitful manners. Okay. Then according to American sociologist Earl Robert Babbie, a research is a systematic inquiry to describe, explain, predict and control the observed phenomenon. It involves inductive and deductive methods. The observed phenomenon here means the field which has already been searched. In that field we have to find out certain new things in order to describe, explain, predict or control that particular concern or problem. From this research we can have certain deductions, we can have certain induction. These inductive and deductive methods are generally used in every research work. Next, ethics. Ethics, we do use this ethics in all our life. From morning to evening, we use ethical practices, we follow certain ethical practices in our day-to-day life. In the same manner, we have to follow these ethics in research also. But etymologically speaking, the word ethics is derived from the Greek word ethos, which means custom or character. Means we have to follow, we have to maintain our character throughout our life. And how we are going to follow the character? Of course, by following certain standard practices which has been accepted by the society at large. And therefore, ethics is the systematic study of values, human values, so as to decide what is right and what is wrong. There is always confusion what to do and what not to do. That is what is right and what is wrong. And to decide what is right and wrong, we must have certain criteria, we must have certain touchstone on the basis of which we can decide what is right and what is wrong. And ethics, ethical values are that kind of touchstone, are the criteria which will help us in deciding what is right and what is wrong. And therefore, the research can also be, ethics can also be defined as a method, procedure or perspective for deciding how to act and for analyzing complex problems and issues. This ethics is very important, which we learn these ethical norms in our home, school, society, and in other social settings. We do understand, we do observe these ethics in our surrounding systems. Then, this research ethics is very important while conducting any research work. Either it may be a sociological research or a scientific research, that is applied research. Then what is meant by research ethics? Research ethics may be defined as a codification of scientific morality in practice. It is a scientific morality, means a proved morality. The morality is not in a blind sense, but a morality which has been tested, which has been proved in practice. That scientific morality is known as ethics. Research ethics specify the basic norms and values of the research community. The research community means a researcher, research supervisor, guide, the population, variables, and all those things which we use in conducting a research. All those factors are known as a research community, and for that research community it is necessary to follow, to observe certain basic norms and values while conducting a research. These basic norms and values are known as research ethics. Now, these ethics are very important. Many principles have been evolved as research ethics. There are some universal ethical principles that can be applied across all the professions, including, means these research principles are honesty, trustworthiness, loyalty, respect for others, adherence to the law, doing good and avoiding harm to others, and accountability. Along with these research ethic principles, there are many more such ethical principles which can be applied in conducting a research. Now we'll understand these principles one by one. Now, these are the research ethics principles. Let's study and understand these principles. Honesty and objectivity. Honesty is nothing but a commitment towards your research work. The researcher shall strive for honesty in all scientific communication. He shall honestly report the data, results, methods, and procedures and publication status. The researcher, while conducting a data, must have an honest intention. He shall not fabricate, falsify, or misrepresent the data, because the conclusion of the research will be based upon the data, and therefore the researcher shall be honest in collecting a data and conducting a research work. He shall not deceive his colleagues, research sponsors, or the public. He must have that honesty that he shall not deceive. He shall not deceive any kind of information which is very useful in conducting a research. Then another principle of research ethics is objectivity. Objectivity means the researcher must be objective. While formulating his research problem, he must have a clear intention what kind of research he want to do, for what purpose he want to conduct a research. And therefore, the researcher shall strive to avoid bias in experimental design, data analysis, data interpretation, peer review, personal decisions, grant writing, expert testimony, and other aspects of research where objectivity is expected or required. Objectivity means a truthfulness. Therefore, a researcher shall avoid or minimize the bias or self deception. Means though he has formulated certain hypotheses, but while formulating hypothesis, he should not have a biased mind. If he researcher is of biased nature, if he has a prejudicial mind, then his research work will not be impartial one or a transparent one. Therefore, the researcher shall disclose personal or financial interest that may affect his research. Okay. Then another principles of research ethics are integrity and carefulness. Integrity means the researcher shall keep his promises and agreements. He should act with sincerity. When he has collected any kind of data or when he has certain respondents, if he has prepared any interview or questionnaire, he should must have integrity. That he should not disclose the information to public. The information collected only for the purpose of conducting a research, that information, that respondents will be kept secret. And therefore, he should strive for consistency of thought and action. Then, carefulness. The researcher shall avoid careless errors and negligence. He must have due diligence. He should avoid as much as errors as much he can. He should take all the care and due diligence. That is, he should avoid negligence. Otherwise, his negligence may cause to the respondents, to the person who is ready to furnish the information. And therefore, he should keep the information intact and for academic purpose only. The researcher shall carefully and critically examine his work and the work of his peers. Means, while conducting and collecting data, he should carefully and critically examine his work, whether he is conducting a research work in a good manner, in a systematic manner, in a planned way, or he is committing any kind of cheating in conducting a research. Therefore, he shall keep a good record of research activities such as data collection, research design, and correspondence with agencies or journals. That correspondence is necessary to produce his authenticity, and therefore the researcher must be careful. Now, these principles are general principles. There is no codification of such kind of principles of research ethics. Then another principles of research ethics are openness and transparency. Openness means he, that is researcher, shall share his data, results, ideas, tools and resources. That his research is based on certain things. His research is based on particular sources, then he shall acknowledge that sources. If he hide the sources, it will be considered as a plagiarism. He should give due credit to the sources, to the original respondents. His data shall be open, his results shall be open for the public to scrutinize, so that there can be accountability. He shall be open to criticism and new ideas. After having criticism, after having open defense, the researcher will understand another angle, another perspective of his research area. Therefore, the research shall always be open for criticism, so that he can gather new ideas and new perspectives toward the research problem. Then, a transparency is necessarily to be maintained while collecting and conducting data. The researcher shall disclose the methods, whether he is conducting a research in a doctrinal manner or a non-doctrinal manner. He should disclose the materials, what kind of materials, research literature he has gone through. He should show his assumption, that on what assumptions and presumptions his research is based upon. He should analyze the other information which has been needed to evaluate the research work, so that by way of transparency his research work will be genuine and original one. Then another principles of research ethics are accountability and respect for colleagues. Accountability is very important. When your research work is funded by any agency, or if it is not funded, if you are conducting a research on your own, you should be accountable to the public for whom you are conducting the research. The researcher shall take responsibility of his part in research, and he shall be prepared to give an account, that is explanation or justification of what he has done in a research project and what are the reasons for what purpose he has conducted a research in a particular manner. He should open his justification to the public. Then respect for colleagues. This is very important while conducting interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary results. In such kind of research, he shall pay a due respect to his colleagues, because other colleagues who are co-scientists, who are research scientists, they have their own genuineness, their own mastery in the particular field, and therefore he shall give due respect to the colleagues. Principles of research ethics are intellectual property and confidentiality. Intellectual property means whenever research finds any literature on his topic, he shall see whether the research work on which he has conducting a data, whether that data is a patented one, copyright or other forms of intellectual property is there. He shall not breach that intellectual property of others. If you want to refer that data in his research work, he shall acknowledge the author. He shall acknowledge that the source is a particular person, and that acknowledgement is necessary. He shall not use any unpublished data, methods or results without the permission of publisher or without the permission of the author. If he does so, otherwise it will be offensive act. Therefore, the researcher shall must have honesty in conducting a research work. He shall give a proper acknowledgement or credit for all contributions to the research. He shall never plagiarize the data, because the research is nothing but intellectual property of the researcher. The researcher is a person who tries to find out solution to problems. The researcher invests his own money, time and energy in conducting a researcher. Therefore, another researcher shall not breach this kind of property of the original researcher. Therefore, intellectual property shall be maintained. There is another, many statutes are there on the protection of intellectual rights. Then confidentiality. Research ethics is necessary while protecting the private matter and confidentiality or confidential communications, because the respondents giving you the information believing that you are conducting a good research, and therefore whenever you collect answers or data in the form of questionnaire or interviews, that questionnaire shall be kept confidential, because it is for you, it is for the academic purpose, it is for the research purpose. The respondent shall not be left open for criticism for giving answers, and therefore the confidentiality shall be maintained. The researcher shall maintain the confidentiality as papers or grants submitted for publication, personal records, trade or military secrets, and patient records. Whatever information he has gathered, unless it is permitted to be published, you shall keep it confidential, because these are very sensitive materials. Then next, responsible publication and responsible mentoring is also important principles of research ethics. The responsible publication means a researcher shall publish his work in order to advance the research, to get or acquire the scholarship, and not just to advance his own career. Why the research is need to be published? Because it shall be come into the public domain. The public shall understand what are the research going on a particular problem. What are the causes and consequences of particular problem, and therefore after publication the researcher definitely gets name and fame, but many people in the society gets benefited. But the researcher shall avoid wasteful and duplicative publication. While publication, the researcher must keep in mind that his research shall be published in a good publication. Otherwise, they will make it issue of copyright. Then, responsible mentoring. The researcher shall help to educate, mentor, and to advise the students. Research shall always promote further research. One research shall make further research possible, and therefore the researcher, after conducting a research, he becomes an educator, mentor for the students, for the junior scientist, and therefore the researcher shall promote their welfare and allow them to make their own decisions in conducting a further research work. Then social responsibility and non-discrimination are also important principles of research ethics. Researchers shall strive to promote social good and prevent or mitigate social harms through research, publication, education, and advocacy. The researcher, if has a biased mind, then he may try to gain a personal benefits out of that research. But at the same time, the researcher forgets his social responsibility, that his research shall not harm the public sentiments, his research shall not harm the public education, because research meant to contribute towards the existing knowledge, and therefore the researcher has a social responsibility that he shall conduct his research in a very fair manner. Then the researcher shall be non-discriminatory in nature, that is, he shall have equal footings. He shall avoid the discrimination against colleagues or students. His colleagues may be of different sex. Men may not have a dominant nature over the women, and therefore the discrimination may tend to be on the basis of sex, race, ethnicity, or other factors which are not related to scientific competence and integrity. He should not be jealous. He should not have discrimination against his colleagues. He should give a due respect to his colleagues. And therefore, while conducting research work, particularly interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary research work, the researcher must have a non-discriminating nature. Then, principles of research ethics, such as competence and legality. Competence means the researcher shall maintain and improve his own professional competence. He should conduct a good research. He should go through the different books and sources. By having that much competence, he gets expertise through lifelong education and learning, by which he can take steps to promote competence in science as a whole. As much as reading is possible, the researcher shall go on reading so that he can understand different perspectives of the problem. And after that, he will become expertise in that field. This will enhance his own professional competence. Then legality. The researcher must know and obey the relevant laws which are made by the institutional or governmental policies. Means while conducting a research, a researcher must follow certain norms and legal principles or legal provisions in a particular statutes. For example, in intellectual property rights such as Patent Act, Copyright Act, Trademark Act, or the norms which is laid down by the university, by any institutions such as UGC, AICTE, like that, the researcher must follow the norms or legal provisions. Agencies or government agencies, all those principles have to be followed while conducting a research work, because your research is going to have an effect on society at large, on future also. With this, thank you very much. I hope you like the video. Kindly share and subscribe my channel. Thank you very much.